I started in the restaurant business. I was 20 years old. I opened up a sports bar, and then I opened up a place in the city that ended up bringing me to the bistro. So I've been all over the place. I worked for my dad. Being I'm Greek, he owned a diner.
Restaurant Punk, what's up?
Welcome to Restaurant Punk.
What's up?
Oh, man. I didn't get any action from you guys. Somebody. What do you want noise?
I never do it.
That was
my
disappointing.
Time is
He's a
terrible.
guest.
And I've also watched every single episode ever, so I know better.
But have you liked every
than
single
to
episode
embarrass
ever?
myself by attempting to sing in harmony with someone as talented as yourself, Pete.
Why, Pete sings?
Wow, those are kind words.
Oh, I never heard him sing. What's
So,
up?
who are you? What are you doing
I'm Nick
here?
Lovedis. I'm a friend of Peter's. Pete used to work technically for me, but
Yes.
14 years ago, we used to own a place in the city called Privé. And that was a long story.
What do you do now?
I own a restaurant in Haddonfield, New Jersey called the Bistro at Haddonfield. And own, operate, chef, mailroom, pay bills, the typical restaurant situation.
I would go visit Nick, and he would be in the downstairs kitchen prepping everything. When I say everything, I mean bread. I mean everything. Scratch made.
Did
Nick is a chef.
Include the moonshine though, because I hear you're.
That's. We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about the
We don't
moonshine?
talk about
No?
that. We just
Prohibition
drink
now?
it.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
We just drink
Moving
it.
on.
He does everything. You are a restaurant chef and you're a restaurant owner operator.
I am. Sometimes
it's a lot.
Yeah,
It's a lot. I've seen you sweat. I've seen you do everything. And I feel like you sometimes you can't step away from it. Like
No, you can't. It's kind of like an addiction, actually.
Well, so you started off with the bistro, but just to explain, you've expanded.
I've started in the restaurant business. I was 20 years old. I opened up a sports bar, and then I opened up a place in the city that ended up bringing me to the bistro. So I've been all over the place. I worked for my dad. Being I'm Greek, he owned a diner for 50 years. So I grew up in the heart of like old school cooking.
Grew up right in the middle of everything.
Culinary school at some point, took a detour.
So you've been around the block a few times.
I have.
All right.
Do you feel like you learned more from your experiences in the restaurants or from culinary school?
Oh, definitely in the restaurant. Culinary school, not at all. Culinary school is like something you go to and you brush up on some skills. You learn while you're working. And I say, like, to some people who tell me today they go to culinary school, I say, don't do it. If like Peter. Peter didn't go to culinary school. And when I met Peter, I'm like, one of the first questions I had, I'm like, did you go to culinary school? He's like, no. I'm like, right away, you recognize the kid had talent right off the bat. And I'm like, culinary school, to me, that was actually one of the last times I said to myself, I'm like, I'm not hiring anybody they come out of culinary school and they think they're like top-notch chef. But Peter, talent, recognized it right away. So that was part of like us.
The kindest words.
Enough from the peanut gallery over there.
No, but seriously.
All right, the topic today is let's hype up Peter's ego. I'm just going to say.
Nah.
I feel like you do have a topic for today, though.
I do.
What do you got? What's on your mind? What's issue?
I'm thinking if somebody asked me, should I open up a restaurant today?
The topic is, should I open up a restaurant?
And I'd say you're nuts.
But you still show up every day.
Yeah.
So
like I said, it's kind of an addiction. It is. Like, remember I said to you, like, it's an addiction?
Yeah.
It really is just an addiction. It's like once you're in it, you can't seem to pull away from it. I've seen people over the years say, I'm going to get out of this business. And they get out of the business. And somehow they cycle back.
Well, let me ask you something. Since you've been around the restaurants for at least, 20 years?
Yeah.
Give or take? Would you say there was
Longer.
a difference? When did you open up the sports bar?
I was 20 years old and I'm 46. So that was a while ago.
What would you say would be a difference? Because you're in a whole different area than we are down here in South Jersey, but you're a little further north.
Sure.
Would you say there was a difference between opening up a restaurant 20 years ago compared to today?
Oh, no. Definitely.
Like, do you think it was much easier 20 years ago than it is nowadays?
Definitely.
Yeah. In what
Absolutely.
aspect?
Well, I mean, startup's going to be the hardest thing. Is getting through that first year. You really don't have cash flow. You're undercapitalized. And that first year, if you can get over that first year and into that second year, you're not in the home run, but the chances of you succeeding are much greater.
You're on the right road.
You're on the right road.
road.
You're on that right road, especially that initial That initial, those first couple months, it's got to be the most difficult thing you'll ever
Well,
experience.
it's kind of hard because I'm sure you've seen lease agreements or purchase agreements on restaurants. And I feel like that's the starting, that starts off everything. Like that dictates how far you are in the hole once you sign that paper right off the bat.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have to invest into the restaurant? How much is your rent? Are you doing a turnkey?
So I've always been against leasing. However, I have leased.
Yes. You have leased.
I have leased.
You
I've
have
leased twice.
But now with your place, you bought the main property. You bought
Right.
the property
But it
next
started
to it.
as a lease.
You bought the next property. You bought the
Yes.
property behind it.
Yes.
You can open up a super well on all the property you own right there.
Not in our town, but yeah, that's the idea, is to kind of like capitalize on the corner.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about getting a liquor license?
So the town's dry, unfortunately.
Oh.
That's a whole other thing. in
I didn't
New
know
Jersey.
that.
It's an
I didn't know that
awkward
either.
situation.
Haddonfield.
However, we do have a great brewery in town.
Yeah.
We got a distillery and we have a winery. So, but New Jersey and liquor licenses are a funny conversation.
Yes. That's a different topic for a different day.
Definitely.
It's town by town, right? The ordinances for
It
whether
is.
the town is dry and how many liquor
it
licenses
is.
they offer.
We're like in a little historical town
Yeah.
in Haddonfield. And for many years, they just didn't want to have them. But like there's a town in between us and a town after us. In between, the bars are jamming.
Yeah.
So there's two dry towns, and in between, the bars are all jamming because of, obviously having two dry towns.
Yeah.
between.
Yeah. I mean, like even down in South Jersey where we are, Cape May's been wet, if you will, for some time. But
very
And I thought
happy
that was
town.
another
But-
subject.
but West Cape May, which is right next door, didn't have liquor licenses at all until, I don't know, maybe a decade ago. And even at that, they only approved 2.
Right.
So it's all town by town. And I'm not sure.
I
if
didn't even know
that's-
that.
I don't know if it's other states as well or just New Jersey, but yeah, New Jersey's very town specific. And like you'll go to a city like Trenton. My mom will kill me. Trenton. The T enunciations for you, Mom. And they have a liquor store on every corner, a
Sure.
bar on every corner, but the smaller towns are a lot more strict with
Oh,
it.
yeah. But that was actually the town decided not to do that. If
Yeah.
they wanted to, they could say, hey, bring on the liquor
And you
licenses.
definitely have the population up there to
Oh, no
get out a
doubt.
few liquor
No
licenses.
doubt.
And I think to your point, like in Cape May, we've seen a couple different businesses where they own one property and they have a liquor license with that property and they're able to then purchase an
Yes.
adjacent property
It's been
like
a very
your businesses
controversial issue, too.
and share that liquor license between properties, which is an
Yeah.
interesting
Oh, very
approach.
interesting. Yeah, but it comes with consequences. One gets suspended, the other gets suspended.
I think,
Seen that happen.
should I open a restaurant with a liquor license or without too? Will that affect my business
Yeah.
Absolutely.
as well? And also the headache and the stress coming with having a liquor license and dealing with the ABC and insurance policies and all that. I think a lot of people, just going back to the main question, is I think a lot of people have it in their mind that I just want to open up a restaurant. And
yeah.
they feel like they should do it because, just sign a lease, I can walk right in. It kind of has a kitchen there. I can go with it. But I don't think people realize like how much more entailed it is.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, how many restaurants have you opened? You've opened
3.
3, yeah.
Technically.
How much goes into it? It's more than just that. So
Concept, location, like you talking about the liquor licenses. Yeah, I'm a BYOB. I don't have a liquor license, right? You have to concept something that you think is going to work in that area, right? Or in that situation or that demographic where you're going to drive business. If you're going to do a liquor license, you're looking at it in a whole other perspective. So it's very different. Very different.
and I feel like a lot of people want the liquor license because I think we just talked about it on another episode as a side note, but they just think that
The
that's
margins
where
are way higher.
the margins are way higher. But breakfast, as Yanni always states, is the margins are just as high as long as
Margins
you
are
have the
good.
volume coming in.
It's not what it once was, though.
No, definitely
not.
not.
It's definitely not. And even the breakfasts that we serve aren't once what we served.
Well, I used to see 222 breakfasts and
Yeah, but that was 2
dollar
eggs over
gland
light.
slams over at Denny's or Friendly's
Yeah.
or wherever you're at it. You don't see those anymore. Egg prices are
Yeah, but we're in a
quadruple.
different world
Yes,
now.
yeah, different.
The avocado toast,
Yeah. But that goes back to what I was saying. And was it
Poutine.
easier to open up a restaurant and make it profitable 20 years ago than it is today?
no question.
Yeah. And I feel like the expectations of what you get at the restaurants, which is good because that means there's competition around just killing it.
Yeah.
And you just have to step your game up. But the margins are different than they were 20 years ago. The competition's different than when it was 20 years ago. And then also, and I think it's something that a lot of people don't think about, but the ability to get your name out there with social media and internet,
that's true.
that wasn't there 20 years ago and it is now. And somebody could just have a great marketing campaign based off Instagram or Facebook that's going to attract the people. So it's not just, how good am I doing? Am I bringing people through the door and how happy are they? But is my marketing good and will other people see it compared to the guy next door that he could be twice as busy as you are just because he's just that good at social media and whatnot. So
to your point earlier, though, I don't think that people think about any of those things when they're like, I want to open a restaurant.
You know what? That's the thing. That's the truth.
I saw a stat recently that's like the average American eats out over 4 times a week.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're eating out that often and you're going in and you're like, I could do this.
Yeah.
This is so easy. I could open a restaurant.
It's cheaper to eat out sometimes than it is to go to the supermarket and buy a pack of chicken.
Yeah, but regardless, that's not my point. My point being that like when people are doing something all the time like that and it feels so easy and so second nature, and it's like, well, if I'm going out to eat 4 times a week, what's my neighbor doing? Well, I'm obviously going to be making buku bucks if I open a restaurant because everybody's eating out.
You say boku or buku?
Buku bucks.
I never heard that.
Did you
we'll
never
talk about this after the episode.
Oh my God. No way.
What about?
No, I totally agree with you 100%. What about what?
No, I'm saying about nobody takes in consideration what are your actual margins of profit in a restaurant. Casual fast dining opposed to liquor licenses. I can tell you right now, like casual fast dining, 8 to 10%. If you're running on all and firing on all cylinders, right? But that's, it depends. Depends what you're selling. You know what I mean?
Look, how many seats do you have in your restaurant?
Well, I got 100 in and I have like 80 outside.
Okay, so
like
plenty. You have a good sized restaurant. And I think this circles back to a topic that we bring up at meetings a lot of the times, and Yanni brings it up a lot, is would you rather make 200,000 in sales and make 50% profit, or do $1 million in sales and make?
The answer to that is you take dollars to the bank, not percentages, is the truth.
Do you agree with the statement, sales make everything go away?
So I was told that many years ago, and the truth is yes.
Yeah.
But the reason is, though, cash flow fixes a lot of things, right?
Yes.
But you're floating stuff in the restaurant, right? So that's a lot of things that if people, they get into it, they see the money coming in, and then the big bill hits, boom. Oh, insurance renewal came in, great. Oh my God, it went up 10 grand from last year? Because that's what I'm dealing with today, right?
Yeah.
Literally.
What do you think the most unexpected costs in business are, like in running a restaurant specifically?
Honestly, you know what the amateurs miss is the maintenance, right? They definitely miss the maintenance. Like, oh, everything's good. Okay, we finally got caught up on our equipment leases. Whether you bought them or you leased the equipment, there's a lot of different perspectives on it. What they don't factor is what happens when your walk-in box clunks out and then a machine clunks out, right? I'll give you an example. I'm buying a new ice machine right now, $22,000, right? How many people calculate $22,000 in? I'm buying 2 machines, right? Because I always have one machine that dumps into another because I just got looked at on an ice machine. But yes, ice machine, unexpected breakdown, 22 grand. Refrigerator, 35 grand. Like, this is the thing that the amateur doesn't take in consideration. They think, I bought it, I paid for it, it's done. Oh no, you're buying and then you're replacing. And then today, stuff doesn't even last. It breaks down like, every 2 to 3 years.
It's like home ownership, but like 10x.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, especially if you have a small kitchen, like your kitchen upstairs, your main kitchen.
Yeah.
Is small. And like most of our restaurants.
You get creative.
So if something breaks, you don't have the luxury of having all that space in your kitchen to have 2 of those items in there. So you want to buy one good grill, let's say, or one good fryer.
Always my attitude. But honestly, I don't know. Lately, things just break. Not even the expensive ones. I just replaced the freezer and the guy goes 10 grand. I'm like, 10 grand for a reach-in? I'm like, because the one I wanted was the Continental that I know. Oh, sorry. Not supposed to mention brands, but
no, it's okay. You can say it.
All right, no, I'm serious. Like right at the top end of the market, supposed to run at an ambient temperature up to 100 degrees in the kitchen, right? All the best, right? Let's buy the best because I want it to last. No, 3 years later, fans start freezing up, compressor blows out. Then you're looking at it $3,500, $4,000 to repair it, or do I go buy another one? Right?
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
That's a good point. Yeah. I don't think maintenance would have been the first thing out of my mouth, but now that you
there's
say it,
tons of
it
other
will be in the
surprises.
future.
It's the surprise.
Yeah.
The maintenance is the surprise one.
Because
I think, like that's like what I'm wondering, right? Because the original question was like, would you open a restaurant? Right? That's our question.
yeah.
Well, the answer is I
Should
still
you?
say yes.
And you're like absolutely not, but absolutely I would. So like, what
Again,
what's the hit
addiction.
that got you hooked? Right? That's my question.
I grew up in it. I loved it. I love the passion about it. I operate in like controlled chaos.
Yeah.
Like I function better in controlled chaos. When controlled chaos is missing out of my life, I feel empty.
See, there's a lot because look, I came from being a chef up in Philly with Nick and other places, but I do miss just being a chef sometimes, like, and not worrying about anything else, just straight kitchen, menus, execution. That's it. But to anybody out there listening to this, that's should not be the reason to open up a restaurant. Please take everything else into account in totality because there's so much more that goes into it.
Oh, no doubt.
And yeah, would you open a restaurant?
No.
No.
But I like helping you guys open restaurants from the sidelines, you know?
So
It can ruin you.
You
it can
know?
ruin you, and it's
It
ruined a
can
lot of
make you, it
people.
can ruin you.
But
Well, it's Charles Bukowski, right? That Yanni always quotes, and it's find what you love and let it kill you.
find one you
Wow.
love and let it kill you. I
Well
think that's how
stated.
a lot of Greeks in South Jersey go by.
Yeah.
I
But
think at the end of the day, like, no one in the restaurant industry would ever tell you to go into it wholeheartedly unless you are wholeheartedly in it, because it's
See, that's the
probably
point,
going
right?
to kill you.
Like if you like the first question I'd ask to somebody that says I want to open up a restaurant, have you at least worked in one, right? And how long for?
Are you a home cook?
Have you seen the good, the bad, the ugly?
yeah,
Right? Because if you haven't,
yeah.
you have to weigh it all out.
All
So
right.
the answer is
Watch the good, the bad, the ugly, and take everything into account.
there you go.
But
Amen. Hallelujah.
Nick, thanks for
Hallelujah.
joining us today.
Dude, thanks for having me.
Anytime, guys. I'm Pete.
Emaleigh?
Nick loved this.
Nick Loftus. Thank
Gotta
you.
throw the last
We'll
name,
catch you guys next time.
I'll make it. Oh, we're like a little Oreo.
Yes.
What you got? What do you want?